We're 2 weeks away from the election here in Ohio, and here we're facing issue one, which would expand abortion and enshrine it in the state constitution up until the very moment of birth. The ads are coming fast and furious from the other side. I'll respond to the lies today on the program. Activist Radio, the Mark Harrington Show, is brought to you by Created Equal, and you can go to createdequal.org to find out more about our work, and you can support the program by going to createdequal.org/donate. I'm on all the popular podcasting platforms. You can follow me on all the social media websites as well. And friends, let me make a special request, and that is to be praying for the Created Equal team, be praying for the coalition right now that's fighting to defeat this constitutional amendment in Ohio. As I said, we're 2.5 weeks out, and we're exhausted. It's a 24/7, 365 effort right now, and we are sprinting towards the finish line. So we need all the prayers we can get for strength, but also that for protection and a breakthrough, because we're going to need it in order to defeat this constitutional amendment. So today on the program, as you can imagine, the other side is ramping up the lies and propaganda, and that's how they win. They can't rely on the truth because the truth is on our side when it comes to abortion killing. They have to lie. And those who support the killing of unborn babies also lie. What a shocker, right? So we're going to go through a bunch of these lies today on the program. First of all, there was a debate just last week, if you want to call it that, a debate that was here held in the state of Ohio on television between pro-abortion advocate Desiree Timms and the opposition to issue one, Mahek Cook. And so what I want to do, I'm going to go through a few of these clips and debunk them, because the other side continues to repeat these lies over and over again about what this Constitution Amendment will do. And because they have more money and they can put these ads on TV, a lot of people are going to be misled. So I want to make sure that our folks understand what the truth is. So here we're going to start out. We're going to play these clips. I have several of them from this debate last week that is broadcast statewide. So go ahead and play this first clip. Again, this is Desiree Timms. She supports the pro-abortion side, or I guess you could call it the vote yes on issue one. Go ahead and play the first clip.
Procedure. Issue one is about the extreme abortion ban that is currently on the books, and our ability to make medical and healthcare decisions for ourselves and removing politicians from the process. That's what the Yes campaign is about, making sure people can decide what's best for their healthcare and not politicians in Columbus.
Well, there you go. The extreme abortion ban. Trying to scare people. First of all, there is no abortion ban in effect in Ohio. The only law that restricts abortion is the 22-week ban. And that allows for rape and incest and life of the mother exceptions. That's the one on the books. Now, what she's trying to say here is that the so-called 6-week ban, which isn't, is in effect. And it's not. She's lying about that. That is right now before the Ohio Supreme Court, and they're going to decide the constitutionality of that law. But it's not a 6-week ban, folks. That's what they say, 6 weeks. They try to scare people. It's a heartbeat law. In other words, in Ohio, if put into effect, this law would outlaw abortion at a detectable heartbeat, not at 6 weeks, because sometimes at 6 weeks, the heartbeat will not be detected. Sometimes it has to be at 7 or 8 or 9 or even 10 or up to, even beyond. So it's at the detectable heartbeat. She doesn't want to talk about that. You know why? Because most people understand where there's a heartbeat, there's life. So she calls it a 6-week ban, and it's extreme. And she talks about how she wants to keep parents, politicians away from parental decisions, personal healthcare decisions. Well, politicians make decisions all the time. And by the way, politicians are elected by the people. They're not just these amorphous entities that intervene in our lives here and there. They're actually put into office by us, the people. The boogeyman that she makes them out to be. Politicians are people that represent us. And so she's trying to make it out to be that the government's going to interfere in personal healthcare decisions. All right, so let's go to the next clip again. Desiree Timms on the vote yes side, the pro-abortion side in this debate. Go ahead and play the next clip.
When I think about children in Ohio, I think about the 10-year-old girl who was
let's talk about
raped
children.
and was forced to flee the state of Ohio to travel to Indiana in order to have an abortion, because the extreme abortion ban that is currently on the books, there are no exceptions for rape, incest, or even the life of the mother. And no Ohioan should have to flee the state in order to access health care.
Flee, extreme, it's like somebody's pursuing them across the border or something, chasing them. This is not how this worked. By the way, she's talking about this 10-week or 10-year-old child that was raped, apparently, and got pregnant. And when the heartbeat bill was in effect for 82 days in the state of Ohio, because of that law, she had to go across the border. Now, there's a heck of a lot more to that story. And of course, they bring up the most extreme situation they can because they want to justify every abortion, not just the ones for rape and incest or life of the mother. They use these extreme examples to say that every abortion is going to be outlawed. That's just not the case. So anyway, this couple, and I've talked about it on the program, did decide to leave the state. They did leave the state to have the abortion. And there's a whole lot more to the story. I'm not going to go into it, but the person that provided the abortion, that committed the abortion, did not report the rape, by the way, and is now being prosecuted. So here's the bottom line. No one talks about the rapist. The rapist has been put in jail, by the way. The rapist was prosecuted to the full extent of the law. What about that crime? We don't talk about that. All we talk about is the 10-year-old who was raped and now aborted their baby. It's a tough case. We obviously have compassion and empathy for that child. But the idea that they had to flee the state, to have an abortion, is just not the case. All right, let's move on. Again, Desiree Timms on the vote yes side on issue 1. Go ahead and play the next clip.
Deciding what's best for us. Voting yes will ensure that the decisions made in the hospital room are between a doctor and their patient, and the doctor doesn't have to fear treating his or her patient because of what a politician might say or do in Columbus.
The heck?
Okay, okay, so they're trying to get this picture in their mind, right? That you're in the hospital room and you're pregnant, right? And you have a diagnosis that isn't positive, that there may be fetal deformities or abnormalities with the child, and somehow a politician's going to walk in the room and say, "Oh, you can't abort that baby." This is the image they want to project. Well, nothing could be further from the truth here. First of all, again, politicians are representatives of the people. They pass laws that are supposed to be enforced, and they do it all the time. By the way, the government, or the people, if you will, because we are a government of the people, for the people, by the people, right? I mean, the government, the people are the government in America and in the state of Ohio. We enact laws all the time that infringe on so-called rights, healthcare and that kind of thing. Healthcare is probably one of the most regulated industries in Ohio. And we don't mind it, of course, when it comes to killing a baby. Abortion needs to be outlawed. It's murder, and we outlaw murder, and government gets involved in doing that all the time. Politicians pass the laws with the consent of the governed. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Next clip again. This is Desiree Timms on the vote yes on issue 1 side. Go ahead.
Define viability.
So the current language, as written, includes reasonable limitations after fetal viability. What we are concerned with is when patients enter into a hospital or a healthcare facility and they have a fetal abnormality or they have a personal healthcare challenge, that they can access the healthcare they need.
There you go. Access the healthcare they need. Let me interpret that. So at viability, let's keep in mind viability is between 20 and 24 weeks. That's what it means. That means the baby can live outside the womb. So personal health care decisions, right? Fetal abnormality, healthcare challenges. Here's the thing, if the baby can live outside the womb, why dismember the child? Why decapitate the child? Why behead the baby? All we need to do is conduct a C-section or a cesarean section and deliver the baby alive. And if the baby is going to die, provide the proper comfort care and perinatal care to allow nature to take its course. That's how this would be done normally. The compassionate way in dealing with this type of a situation where that baby may die is not to kill the child, volitionally go in and murder the baby, but to allow the natural course of events to take place. And those types of healthcare treatments are covered by most insurance policies. And the other thing is viability is defined by whom? It's going to be defined by the doctor, or better said, the abortionist, the child killer, the hired assassin. He's the one that's going to decide what baby's viable and what baby's not. I mean, obviously, there's nobody in there. They don't have the viability police in that room, in the operating room, to decide. It's going to be up to the so-called doctor, the abortionist, and the mother, or should I say, the accomplice. This is why this idea of viability is not defined. It's not defined in the amendment, and courts are going to leave it to the doctors to decide, or the abortionists, and you know what that'll end up with. By the way, Martin Haskell, who's an abortion doctor out of Kettering, Ohio, that routinely performs late-term partial birth abortions, said that 80% of the late-term abortions that he commits are done for elective reasons only, not because of a personal health care challenge, like Desiree says, or not because of a fetal abnormality. It's because they just don't want the baby. So that is what the problem is. This constitutional amendment will allow abortion in the cases of viability for health. At viability for the reasons of health, which you can drive a Mack truck through, and that health has been interpreted by the courts to mean almost anything. All right, next clip. This again, Desiree Timms on the vote yes side of the issue 1 debate.
The country have introduced legislation that bans or restricts birth control, IVF.
No.
We've had legislators right here in Ohio who mentioned an interest, a fond interest, in banning birth control and miscarriage care.
So what?
Issue 1 is about removing politicians from the process.
Here we go again.
Period.
Here's again, healthcare, and abortion's not healthcare, but healthcare is regulated all the time by so-called politicians, by government. And we don't mind that. But when it comes to abortion, and they say abortion's healthcare, we can't regulate it. There's no restrictions. We want the government out of the bedroom and out of the operating rooms. So that's it's just a joke, friends. I mean, this is propaganda again, to basically paint this picture that politicians are going to be prowling around hospitals and abortion centers to try to figure out, which abortion's allowed, which one's not. The bottom line is this: it's going to be up to the abortionist and the mother to determine whether they want to kill their baby. And the idea that birth control and IVF are going to be outlawed, there's not a single case in the country since Roe v. Wade's been overturned in which there's been an abortion ban enacted where birth control and IVF have been outlawed. Now, there might be a case for that. She says, well, there's been a couple of representatives of the state house that have talked about outlawing birth control. Well, maybe because some birth control, or what they call birth control, is actually abortifacient, meaning it can cause an abortion. Some chemical abortion drug or contraception are actually abortions. And so maybe we should look at that. But the heartbeat bill does not outlaw birth control, another lie, or IVF. And then they perpetrate this whole lie about miscarriage care. Does anybody really think that we're going to outlaw miscarriage care? That a woman who's having a miscarriage that goes to an emergency room or goes to her OBGYN is not going to be able to get the treatment that she needs for a miscarriage. It's exempt from the law, actually, as well, in the heartbeat law. But it doesn't matter. These people are liars. And it wouldn't surprise us, of course, because they support child killing. All right, next clip. Again, Desiree Timms on the Vote Yes side. Go ahead.
It's about allowing people to decide what's best for their bodies. When
Here we
saw
go
you
again.
asked about Dobbs v. Jackson, right after Dobbs occurred, the supermajority in this state moved to enforce an extreme 6-week ban.
There we go. Stop there, please. This is a nauseating, extreme 6-week ban. First of all, it's not extreme because the state of Ohio enacted it. That means through their representatives, we felt like this was good policy. That's how it works in a representative republic. The Ohio voter, through their representatives, felt like this was a reasonable restriction to abortion. And it's not a 6-week ban. It outlaws abortion at a detectable heartbeat. That's the law. She knows it. She's lying. She's lying. All right, last clip. Again, Desiree Timms, the pro-abortion advocate, supporting issue 1. Go ahead.
Doctor in the middle of delivery or in the middle of assessing a pregnancy to say, you know what, I have to confer with a politician down the street to decide what I should do next.
I mean, this doesn't even pass the smell test. Like, again, this image that, the doctor's going to stop. Oh, by the way, let me go talk to the politician down at the state house. Come on. I mean, we understand what the laws are. These doctors understand the laws, right? Either we're going to enforce them or we're not. And healthcare is often regulated. And so should it be with abortion. If it's going to remain legal, which we don't want it to be, of course, we want to outlaw all abortions, then we should have basic common sense regulations or restrictions to it. They want to wipe them all out. They want to wipe them all out. All the ones that have been passed in the last 2 decades in Ohio, every single one of them, they want gone. They want abortion unlimited, unrestricted, unregulated through all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason whatsoever or no reason up to the very moment of birth. So that's some of the lies coming from the pro-abortion side this week in a statewide debate on issue 1. All right, friends, I need you to take action today. First of all, you can go to our website at createdequal.org/issue1 to volunteer, to door knock if you're in the state of Ohio. We are ramping it up, friends. We are racing towards the finish line on November 7th, and we need your support. Also, if you want a phone bank, and this can be done anywhere in the country, again, createdequal.org/issue1. You can phone bank anywhere in the country, make the calls that need to be called. People need to be called. And we're right now trying to get out the vote. We're going to persuadables. We were at least going to persuadable voters. Now we're going to get out the vote to our base, try to get them to come to the polls on November 7th. Also, you see behind me, I've got an issue no on issue 1 yard sign. We've got a bunch of those still here at Created Equal's home base, and you are welcome to come by and get one. If you want to pick one up, simply just email us, go to createdequal.org, just fill out the contact form, say, hey, I'd like to have a yard sign. We got plenty more to give out. And you can at least be very vocal in your position against issue 1. Put this in your yard. And people think, oh, yard signs don't matter. Well, in a way they do, because your neighbors will know where you stand. And depending on your reputation with your neighbor, that may be a good thing. They might think about it and say, well, my friend, my neighbor, who I respect a great deal, says he's going to vote no on issue 1. Well, maybe I should too, or at least I'm going to look into it. So there you go. That's the call to action. To finish off the program, I want to play a new ad that's been put out on the air here by the pro-abortion side. And another lie from the pit of hell coming from a so-called Christian or former Christian who used to go to church, of course. They dredge these people up. I don't even know if they're real. They're probably actors. But this one is especially nauseating. I know I've played the one from the pastor, so-called, who said that he's counseled people to get abortions, and that Jesus said that we should judge not lest we be judged. Therefore, we should be pro-choice. What a twisting of scripture that was. I've dealt with that one in prior programs. This one is just kind of tagging on to that theme. That is, if you're a Christian or were one, or you're religious, or once were, or something, that you need to be pro-choice and vote for issue 1. Go ahead and play the clip.
Growing up in the church, I was raised to oppose abortion. But now I'm a father to 3 kids, and I see things differently. The laws that have been enacted here in Ohio have been extreme, far more extreme than what I'm comfortable with. It makes me angry that they don't have exceptions for things like rape or for the health of the mother. This is insane. That's why I'm voting yes on 1, to stop government from passing these extreme abortion bans.
You see the theme here, friends? Extreme abortion bans, right? He's angry that it doesn't have exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. This is a theme through all out their ads. They're drilling down big time on this. This one especially is angering because he says he's a father of 3, and he's changed his mind on abortion, even though he was so-called raised in the church. The way I look at it is, if you're a father of 3, then you should be more pro-life than you were prior to being a father. Because now you have children. You've watched them be born. You've seen your wife get pregnant. You know what's going on here. Yet you're now in support of abortion? That's BS, friends. Nobody's more pro-abortion because they're a father. And of course, he didn't say anything of the reason why being a father makes him more pro-abortion. Like that has anything to do with it. By the way, he mentions his kids, not children, kids. Now, I don't use the word kids when I talk about my children, because kids are just younger goats. They're not people. They're not human beings. Refer to young humans as children. They're not kids. But I digress. He talks about the heartbeat bill. Again, the 6-week extreme ban. That's what he says, right? Again, heartbeat, universal sign of life. No wonder you don't use that in the ads, because it's called the heartbeat bill. Detectable heartbeat. That is a reasonable, although we should be banning abortion from the moment of conception. Most Ohioans, because we passed this in our legislature, supports the law. And therefore, and he talks about politicians again, over and over again, interfering in personal medical decisions. The government is of the people. We are the government. And so it's the people that are making the laws that put restrictions on things like abortion. That's what law does, friends. Somebody's morality is going to be forced on somebody else. The question is, whose morality? And we all should agree that abortion is murder, and therefore murder should be against the law, and there should be politicians interfering in our so-called right to kill people. So basically, to be honest, what's really insane is not this issue, what he's talking about. What's really insane is that we may be on the cusp of enshrining unlimited, unrestricted child killing in Ohio. That's insane. That's barbaric. That's sickening. And I'm angry about that, and I have a good reason to, because I don't want to live in a state that does that to its children. So Anyway, this is the latest ad. I'm sure there's going to be more. And I bet you they're going to be even worse than this one coming up. And if they're going to be putting out there, they're going to be putting these ads on the air. I'll be responding to them in like manner. So you've been listening to your radio activist here on the Mark Harrington Show. By the way, keep in mind, you can go door to door here if you're in the state of Ohio. Tell people who live here to do it by going to createdequal.org/issue1, or you can sign up to phone bank anywhere in the country. We especially need you right now. So thanks for tuning in. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to make a difference for the cause of life, liberty, and justice, go to createdequal.org. To follow Mark, go to markharringtonshow.com. Be sure to tune in next time for your marching orders in the culture war.